Welcome everyone. Very excited you're able to join me today because I believe today's video is going to be so impactful for so many of you. Now, if you're the reliable person, the person everyone relies on, because you're the responsible parent or the high-performing leader, you're the entrepreneur who's extremely capable, or let's say you're the employee who just handles everything, but privately you feel tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix and emotionally distant even when you're surrounded by people. Like even maybe you feel respected, but you don't feel known. And if any of that's you, then this video is going to be for you. Because like, if someone were to ask you, are you okay? Like you typically are going to say something like, yeah, I'm just tired. And when you say that, something inside you starts to sink because like you just chose that wall again, right? The wall that keeps you from feeling like a burden to somebody else, but also keeps anyone from actually reaching you and making a connection with you. And so we want to unpack that with you today so you can see how we can move past that so you can start making a greater impact in people's lives without adding more burden to yourself, without having to be the person that does it alone. Now, I like to say it's the top of every video. So if you are new here, so welcome to the Giver Method channel. My name is Jake. So glad you're able to join me. If you're back for another video, welcome back. Everything we cover in these videos are going to be grounded directly in principles from my book, The Giver Method. So Giver Method by Jake Talbert, that's me. And you can actually get this book right now on Amazon for as little as $2. I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. There'll be a link in the description where you can go get it, or pause the video, go to Amazon, look up The Giver Method by Jake Talbert. This is one that you want to get a copy for you, friends, family, coworkers, your team, whatever. Like it is the field guide to help you move past the things that you're working on by discovering your gifts and superpowers, creating real impact and influence, and really, living the life more fulfilled and such. So check it out. Like I said, everything we cover is going to be grounded in principles directly from the book, which is like your field guide, and then from what we teach in our one-on-one coaching program called the Ignition Accelerator. I'll put a link in the description to that as well. That's where we actually walk you one-on-one, like through the process to unpack all those things. So like I said, check out the links below. You can get the book, you can check out the coaching program, all that type of stuff. Now, at the Giver Method, like we help parents and entrepreneurs, leaders, within an organization, or aspiring leaders, who are typically feeling burned out or overwhelmed. Like, yeah, you're high performing, like, and you are like, you're really good at, I don't know, holding everything together. You're really good at going through the motions, checking the boxes. I've done the things, and I help so many of you to learn that strength doesn't mean, like, doing those things doesn't mean that you have to do it alone. Because let me ask you something, and just notice what happens when you hear it. Are you surrounded by people but still feel like unknown, or do you carry weight that nobody can see because, like, being the responsible, capable one became your identity, but maybe that's not who you feel like you are? Does your family see you but not really feel you, the authentic version of you? That quiet loneliness in the middle of a full house, like that so many people feel, or the pressure that you never talk about with anybody, that automatic, like, I've got it response. It comes out before you even think about it. If any of that hits for you, then hear this, like, you're not weak. Like you've adapted over time. And at some point in your life, like that self-sufficiency, it just made sense. It protected you. It helped you to survive, even helped you to succeed to where you are. Cause you probably, everything looks great on the outside. You've checked all those boxes. But here's the thing, the strategy that built your success might now be limiting your ability to make connection and grow and expand to the next level that you want to be. Like, just think about that. That's what today's video, this conversation is going to be all about. Not becoming like dependent, not by dropping everything, collapsing your identity as the strong one, and not turning into someone who can't function without support. That's not what we're doing. We're going to talk through 4 very specific areas, shifts that you can make. They're going to help you to rethink what like strength actually looks like and how to build support without losing yourself in the process. So for each of the 4 areas we're going to cover, I'm going to recommend that you grab yourself a piece of paper, open up your notes app on your phone or an iPad or whatever, and write things down. Because what I like to do is assign you things like, hey, write this down, fill in the blank on this sentence, journal about this topic, or say this out loud. And the reason why I have you do those different exercises is it actually helps to reprogram your brain faster for what you're trying to accomplish when we do it in different ways, not just read it. Sometimes reading it, writing it, sometimes writing it, saying it, like that, it really has a massive impact. So I recommend before we dive into the first one, you grab a piece of paper and a pen, or open up that notes app, be ready to go. All right. And if you want to go deeper into any of the things that we share, once again, like there'll be resources at the end. Once again, you can use the book, The Giver Method. The link will be down there. You can also check us out on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all under the handle of The Giver Method. You can hear on YouTube, follow us, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, like the video, comment so that we start to show up in front of you more. At the same time, if you go to thegivermethod.com, you get on the newsletter list. I have all sorts of free resources I'm going to put down the link below where you can actually go and just download all sorts of guides, exercises, assessments that help you to unpack these topics. So go take advantage of those. At the same time, for those of you who like know that this isn't just a mindset shift, but a pattern that's kind of hardwired into you, then later on we'll talk deeper about the Ignition Accelerator program, that 90-day coaching experience where we don't just talk about support, but we actually build it for you. Because here's the truth, you can agree with everything like that I'm about to say, that I'm about to go through, and still default to like, I've got it the next time someone asks for help. You know, this isn't just information, it's a pattern, and patterns require structure to change. And that's exactly what the Ignition Accelerator does. Why it exists is to help you to rewire that reflex in real time, you know, with some accountability, external reflection, like all sorts of things. So I'll talk deeper about it more at the end, or you can check out the link below, check out the page, and if it makes sense to book a call for it, then book a call for it. For now, just stay open, listen, you know. Let's start by figuring out something very simple but powerful, like, are you actually strong or you know, just carrying things alone? Like, let's really look deep into this. And so the first of the 4 principles that I want to cover is called the after effect test. You know, once again, are you strong or are you just carrying it alone? How do you distinguish strength from isolation? And so many people who I work with and who watch these videos, the high capacity people, like, they miss this. This not at all, like, this is not self-reliance. It's not the same thing. Sometimes doing it yourself is healthy. I believe in that. I like people to be self-reliant. That's something I teach all the time. You know, it's a line, and if it fits you. And sometimes you're doing it like yourself just in isolation, you know, in a different outfit, like you're just wearing it differently. Like from the outside, it looks the same. You've got it handled, you showed up, you got it done. You know, but the after effect tells so much more truth. You know, strength, like, it always leaves you grounded. Isolation will leave you feeling numb or resentful or similar types of emotions. It's the same behavior, but there's a totally different emotional cost that comes with that. You know, and so when you look at interdependence, you know, what that looks like and feels like, you think about time that you handled something hard on your own and it actually fit right. You know, you might have been tired, but you were steady, you were clear, and it made you proud at the end. That's strength. You know, not because you never needed anyone, but like because in that moment, going solo fit the situation and it fit you. You weren't avoiding people, you were operating from real capacity. Isolation, when it disguises itself as a strength, what it's going to feel like to you is like, it's going to feel different. Like, you handled it alone, right? You succeeded, you pushed through, and afterwards you just felt like off, not just tired, but like emotionally flat or irritated for no reason, distant from people you will connect with or that you love, exhausted in ways that just sleep and rest, vacation don't do. Like, once again, that's not strength. That's what happens when you do it alone, because asking for help feels unsafe or awkward or weak or not allowed, like whatever that may look like. So let's talk about, like, okay, well, let's audit. Let's talk about how we actually work through this to figure out which one you're doing so you can actually address it and do something about it. And so what you want to do here is you want to run this after effect audit, where this week, every time you handle something alone, pause for about 10 seconds and ask, you know, do I feel more grounded or more shut down? If you feel more grounded and healthy and, you know, excited, like you've used your gifts and superpowers, that's healthy, like, independence. Now, if you feel shut down or numb, resentful, like, well, that's isolation. Like, track that for a week. You don't need perfect data. You just need to be honest. And then what you want to do after that week is you write, like, hey, after handling things alone, I usually feel blank. And fill in the blank with whatever makes the most sense to you. And then if you actually start to look at the cost, the relational cost, so we're going to do a check on that relational cost. This is the second diagnosis question you want to do here. Like, is my independence creating emotional distance from the people who matter? Not physical presence, like emotional reachability. You know, your spouse asks you, like, how you are, and you say you're fine, even though, like, you're not. You know, your kids offer to help, and you just automatically are like, I got it, don't worry. You know, someone offers support, and you deflect so fast, like, you barely even notice you did it. And over time, you just, like, they stop asking you. Not because they don't care, but because you've trained them, like, that you don't let people in. And so write that down, like, my independence is creating distance in the following ways, and then just write them out. Now, the next one is a question I ask in so many of these scenarios where it's a 3 a.m. question, you know. At 3 a.m., I admit what, you know, it's so simple, but it sometimes it's brutal, and it opens up things. When it's late, the house is quiet, you're not in performance mode anymore, it's just you with your thoughts. Like, what do you admit to yourself about carrying all of this alone? You know, for a lot of you, and the different things I've heard, it's going to be things like, I can't keep doing this. You know, nobody really knows how heavy this feels or how it feels. You know, I'm tired, but I don't know how to stop. I don't know what to do next. Like, the truth, like, like the truth that's there is that your nervous system has been like holding on to all day, waiting to get out. It often shows up in these 3 a.m., these early morning, late night moments where it's like you just have your thoughts. So write that down. At 3 a.m., I admit that blank, whatever yours is. And then like you have to name these things without turning them into personal flaws. This is a big area in all the videos we cover. You know, you realize you're doing something, especially like in this case, we're realizing we're isolating. You cannot make these things a character issue. It's not a what's wrong with me, can I be normal, why am I like this? You know, instead it's like, hey, this isn't strength. It's isolation wearing strength's costume. See, that's not shame, it's clarity. So write that down. What I'm experiencing is strength, isolation. Like I'm experiencing isolation disguised as strength. Like write yours down, because isolation doesn't just drain your energy, it quietly drains your relationships as well. You know, this whole thing we're talking about, this is where the awakening starts, where you can actually start to move forward. Not when you become less capable, but when you stop confusing, I can handle it with like, you know, should I handle this alone? And then the second of the 4 principles we want to focus on is, I have to refer to it like you've got the armor you're wearing. So you thank the armor and then take it off. You know, you have to honor your origin story while upgrading your system. And so like the strategy that got you here won't get you where you're going. You have to make a change there. And this is a pattern, like, when you pay attention to the pattern where it's actually started for you. You didn't wake up one day and randomly decide, like, I'm going to do everything alone forever. I've got this. No, like, something taught you that self-sufficiency was safer. And at some point, it was what you needed. It wasn't about blaming yourself. Like, you were just, like, you're building armor for that survival mode you needed to be in at that time. And, it's about realizing that, armor designed for one season of life can quietly become a prison for this season of life. A lot of you learned that you needed, needing people led to like disappointment or vulnerability got used against you, or when you asked for help, it made things harder instead of easier, like whatever. So you adapted, you stopped needing, you started handling, and you became the capable one. Once again, that's not a weakness, that was intelligence, that was survival. But the question is, like, is the strategy that protected you back then still serving the life that you're trying to build right now? Probably not. So here's what I want you to do for this one. The first one, name what your origin story is before you try to change anything else. Like, honor where it came from. Like, write down, hey, I learned to do things alone when blank, whatever happened, whatever the thing was. The cost of meeting people was blank, felt like blank, whatever. And then self-sufficiency kept me safe from blank, whatever yours is. Like, if you're a parent, maybe it was, the moment that you realized no one else was going to carry the emotional weight like the way you would. As a leader, maybe it was like, an early career in your career, asking for help that just felt like it was a weakness, or that you were being looked at as a weakness. As an entrepreneur, maybe it was the first time that you admitted confusion to someone and like they started to question your competence. Like, whatever your origin story is, it does matter. Not because it excuses isolation, but like it explains what happened, like how we got to this point. So write yours down. My origin story. I learned this self-sufficiency when blank, and write that down. And then ask the upgraded question here. Something like, just, you have to be super honest with yourself. Will the strategy that got me here get me where I actually want to go? So the strategy got you here. Handle it yourself. Don't burden people. Stay capable. Stay guarded. Where are you actually wanting to go? You want to create sustainable impact, deeper connection, being known, not just admired. Being supported, not just relied on. Can isolation get you there? No, but it won't. Because sustainable impact requires support. Deep connection requires vulnerability, and being known requires letting people into your life. So write that down. Like, the strategy that got me here was blank. And where I want to go, where I'm headed to, is blank. Will that strategy get me there? Yes or no? Answer that for yourself. And then honor what served, and then release what doesn't. And so people will really get stuck at this point. They actually try to shame themselves out of an old pattern, like, I shouldn't have been like this, I should be more open, I shouldn't isolate. And that never works. Instead, it's like, hey, self-sufficiency, it protected me when I needed protection. And I'm grateful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. But I'm ready to upgrade now. Once again, I'm not rejecting the armor. I'm just recognizing that the battle's changed, and the armor that once protected me is now like restricting me as a part of that. So write that, hey, what I'm honoring is whatever it is. And what I'm releasing is blank. Like, write those down. And then that's where you start to install a new operating system. Now, I've got some simple ideas here, but this is also part of like in the Ignition Accelerator program and in the book, where there's deeper things than just this. But think about it this way: we install a new operating system. This is your upgrade. It's not dependency. It's not helplessness, and it's not swinging to the far other end of the extreme. Like, it's interdependence. So try this statement on, like, and write this down and keep it, somewhere where you can review back to it. But, hey, I'm strong enough to handle things on my own, when I genuinely require it. And I'm also wise enough to build support when it serves the mission better. That's the shift, not strength or connection, it's strength and connection, not capable or supported, it's capable and supported. So write whatever yours down, my new operating system. I'm strong enough to blank, but I'm wise enough to blank, whatever yours are. Because you can't shame yourself out of survival strategy. You can't outgrow it, right? You can outgrow it. You can really develop beyond that. And if you're the one that everyone leans on, then this is the moment that you realize, like, the identity of I've got it doesn't require you to disappear. It just doesn't have to stand alone anymore. It's not a weakness. Like, it's maturity and wisdom and evolution as a part of that. I can turn to other people. Now, the third principle here is, like, let people show up for you. Asking for help as a generous act. Like, so you have to give others opportunity to be givers. And this is so important. This is so true to so many people who fall into the bucket that we work with. It's something that you have to reframe that just shifts things for you. Like, most people think, like, if I ask for help, I'm burdening someone. But that's actually not what's happening. When you, like, reflexively say, like, I got it, when you shut down support before it even lands, or you're not protecting the other person, you're blocking true connection. You're blocking the chance for them to show up. Their chance to use their gifts, their chance to matter in your world. And if you're the one who's always giving, then this might be a hard pill to swallow. And like I said, I know because I struggled with it for years. And I teach people and I still struggle with it. So I know people struggle with it. And the irony that you probably have missed as a part of that, like, think about how you feel when someone lets you help them. When someone you trust says, like, hey, I actually needed you. It feels meaningful, right? It feels connected. It feels like presence mattered. Like, you feel more energy because you were able to show up and serve and use your gifts and superpowers. That's what the whole concept GIVER method is about, using your gifts and superpowers to support other people. Now, if you flip it, how does it feel when you've offered help to someone and they're like, no, whatever, I'm fine, I got it. You see they're struggling, you offer and they deflect it. After a while, like, you're gonna stop offering. Not because you don't care, but because they won't let you in. And that's the irony. By refusing help to, like, avoid burdening someone, you often are creating the exact distance you were trying to prevent as a part of that. So here's what I want you to do. The first thing, like, there's a reframe question you want to ask yourself. The next time you feel the reflex to be like, hey, I've got it, just pause for a second. Hey, the old frame, if I ask for help, I'm burdening them. The new frame that I want you to think about is like, hey, if I ask for help, I'm giving them opportunity to be a giver. That's not positive thinking. That's relational reality. People who care about you, they want to contribute. When I ask for help, like, so write this down so you can fill in the blank on it. Like, when I ask for help, I'm giving others opportunity to blank, whatever makes the most sense for you. And then make very specific and bounded asks. Now, this is where it becomes practical. You cannot make vague, emotional, or overwhelming asks. You have to be specific, contain things. Not like, can I help you? That doesn't help people. Then they're just like, no, I'm fine, whatever. It's like, hey, instead say, can I give you 15 minutes Tuesday to think through this decision? It's very specific, it's time bound, it's within their capacity, right? Like this, like, hey, can I help watch your kids Saturday morning so you can reset? Can you read this before I send it? Hey, can I talk for 10 minutes? I don't need solutions, I'm just listening. Like, think about how that goes both ways. If you're offering help, like, hey, can I give you 15 minutes Tuesday? Like, I'm gonna help you with that decision. Wow, that shows up so different to the person receiving. But as the person who's asking for help, if you ask in the same way, it's received the same way. Hey, do you think you could give me 15 minutes to help me through a tough decision? Hey, can I talk for 10 minutes? Like, I don't need solutions. I just need someone to listen to what I'm saying. Could you watch my kids Saturday morning? I really do need this, like, mental reset. Like, whatever yours is. If you're a leader, it might be asking your team for perspective instead of carrying all that strength alone. As a parent, it might be letting your spouse actually share the load instead of trying to correct their version of help. As an entrepreneur, it might be like admitting confusion instead of pretending that you have clarity. Just one ask this week. That's it. Very specific, bounded, doable. Ask someone. So, like, write this down. Like, my one ask this week is going to be blank. And then practice receiving without deflecting. This is where it could get uncomfortable for a lot of you. When someone helps you, like, notice your reflex. Is it, people oftentimes are going to be like, they're going to try to minimize, where it's like, oh, it's nothing. They deflect, like, yeah, you didn't have to. Or immediately reciprocate. They immediately try to feel like they have to do something so they don't feel indebted to them. All of that, like, avoids receiving. Instead, just be like, thank you, I really appreciate that. Here's what helped me with this. And then just stop and let it land. If that feels awkward, like that's not a weakness, it's your nervous system just starting to adjust and reprogram a little bit. So write down, this week when someone helps me, I'm gonna say, thank you, I really appreciate that, and then just stop. And here's the thing, if you watch what actually happens, after you ask for help, pay attention, like, did the relationship shrink or did it deepen? Did they look burdened or honored? Did you feel weaker or more connected? For most people, the answer is surprising, like the relationship grows. And that evidence matters so much because like you don't rewire this pattern with just motivation. You rewire it through living proof as a part of that. And so make sure you journal and write that down. After asking for help, here's what I noticed. Write those things down. Like if you're the one who everyone relies on, then this is a big shift. You don't have to stop being capable. You just have to stop being the only one carrying the load. That's what it's all about. When you let other people in, you're not losing strength, you're actually multiplying strength based off of that. Then the fourth principle that I want to cover today is all about like, you can't see what you're standing on. So think about it this way, like you need to build some external mirrors. And this is why gift blindness requires outside perspective. Because like there's a cost of isolation most people don't ever think about. They don't ever name what it is. And it doesn't just exhaust you, it actually blinds you. Specifically, it blinds you from the gifts and things that you have. You know, every one of you have your own unique combination of gifts, superpowers, and experiences, which means you're the only person who can make an impact in certain people's lives. And the sooner that we start to move past those things, realize those things, the sooner you can start making an impact in those people's lives who actually need that impact in the way that only you can. Your gifts don't become clear through just self-analysis like alone. They become clear through reflection. You know, when you have everything alone, you don't have the mirrors to reflect off of. You have your own perspective, and your own perspective is always going to be limited and false. It's not always right. You know, you can't see your own strengths. Here's what happens. Like things that you do naturally feel normal, easy, obvious, like anyone could do it. But it's to someone else, like those things that are so easy for you are exceptional to them. You know, you really simplify the complex ideas and make them so that people understand, or you calm chaos, or you instinctively connect the dots that others don't see, whatever. Like to you, you're like, that's just what I do. To them, that's a gift. You know, you don't see it because like you're standing too close to it. And if you're isolated, then there's no consistency reflecting back to you is based off of that. That's gift blindness. You know, not insecurity, not ego, just proximity. So here's what I want you to do. You need to build some mirrors. You need to build 3 very specific mirrors without creating a dependency. And so as we start to make this more and more practical, like you don't need like one person for everything. You need roles. And so that's where you want to identify 3 people in your life, okay? There's 3 types of people: clarity, accountability, truth. So clarity mirror, someone who helps you see what you dismiss. Think of someone that could be. Now you have an accountability anchor, someone who knows what you're working on and will actually check in with you. And then you have your truth teller, someone who can lovingly like call you out when you're white knuckling life again. They're like, hold on, don't do that. Like you're not looking for one superhero, you're looking for 3 roles. You know, if you're a leader, you're like your clarity mirror might be some sort of a mentor. You know, as a parent, maybe your spouse or a trusted friend. As an entrepreneur, but it might be someone, you know, outside your industry who sees your strengths more objectively. So like write those down. My clarity mirror is so-and-so. My accountability anchor is so-and-so. My truth teller is so-and-so. Okay, then ask for the like reflection that you actually need. Once you identify your clarity mirror, you have to ask something very specific. You try like, hey, I tend to minimize my strengths because they feel ordinary to me. When you see me at my best, what do you think I'm actually gifted at? And then the hardest part of that whole thing is that you don't argue or minimize or deflect or talk back. Like you just listen and write down exactly what they say, even if it feels uncomfortable, especially if it feels uncomfortable, because like then that means the mirror is working. So like, you know, hey, my clarity mirror said that my gifts are blank. And then like, well, I thought that they were this, but interesting. Like, what are the things I'm seeing here? And the next thing is check your give-receive balance. Like if you're watching this, chances are like you're probably heavy on the giving side. And so this one's really simple practice. Like at the end of the day, jot down, today I gave these things and I received these things. You know, if you go 7 straight days giving and receiving, like, you know, nothing, like that's not strength. Like I'm giving more than I'm receiving. Like you got this imbalance there, right? Sustainable connection isn't about keeping score daily, but over time, like reciprocity matters. So this week, giving and receiving balance, like I gave X amount, I received X amount, just so you can start to see, like, I'm not trying to make it fully balanced, but yeah, I'm trying to level these things out better, you know, so they align. And then there's the question that you can ask yourself on Sundays. Every Sunday, just take some time and say, like, what did I handle alone this week that would have been better with some support? Not because you failed at it, but because like you're upgrading. Maybe it's a tough conversation or a parenting moment or a business decision. Like you're not asking like, where did I mess up? You're asking like, well, where could I have shared the weight a little bit and it maybe created better results? And then journal about that, write that down. This week I handled this thing alone, but support would have helped by whatever. Because if you're the capable one, like the people turn to, this is huge because like the very strengths that would energize you more, and gosh, you could multiply your impact are often the ones that you've normalized. Isolation keeps those things hidden, but these external mirrors, they start to reveal things for you. Once you start to see your gifts clearly, something shifts. You stop grinding areas that drain you. You start leaning into the areas that actually light you up. I mean, gosh, you can stop carrying things alone as a part of that. Now you realize that your role isn't to do everything. It's just, to do things that you're uniquely wired for. And you can actually then turn to other people to help you in other areas. Like that's when support stops feeling optional and it feels more strategic. Now, as we start to wrap this all up and bring it home, like if you've been going through the motions, you've been, checking the boxes, you feel that emptiness, you've been white knuckling your way through every season. Maybe you built your identity around being the one who holds everything together, or telling yourself like that asking for help means you're maybe less capable. Then hear this clearly, like none of that's a weakness. You're not running on like, you are running on this outdated strategy. Outdated strategies, they're not flaws. They're not character flaws at all. Like they're just systems that need some upgrading. And today we covered a lot of really important things that really will work. If you go through these motions, they will work for you. And for some of you, that's enough. You're going to run that after effect test. You're going to make a specific ask. You're going to stop deflecting help, and you're going to identify your support roles. And if you do any of those things, if you do all of those things, like that's not small at all. That's true momentum, like with where you want to go. But for some of you, like you're starting to think deeper and you're like, okay, I think I need a little bit more help than that. Then gosh, that's where go follow us on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, all under the GIVER method. It's where using the links down in the description to go get some of those free resources off the givermethod.com. It's following us here on this channel so that, we show up in front of you more with these types of resources. Maybe it's using the link down below to get a copy of the GIVER Method book on Amazon, since it is only $2 right now. Like go get yourself a copy. But for some of you, like you're thinking, yeah, I get it and I agree with this, but when that moment hits, my reflexes are still to just be like, hey, I've got this. And there's a real gap there, because you can understand that you need support, and actually building it, like those are two totally different things, especially when your nervous system has been trained this specific way, like how to handle things for so long. So that's exactly why there's that one-on-one coaching program, the Accelerator we talked about. It's not a motivational program. It is a 90-day partnership where we're actually going to help you to rewire these types of patterns. We identify where this like independence became isolation. We talked about like, we catch those I've got it reflexes. We build more support roles, more sustainable things moving forward. We look into what your gifts and superpowers are and really find the ways to build those back and find that spark and ignite it and really start to move things forward for you. And what are the systems that you can put in place that make sure that you don't fall back into this type of stuff in the future? Like it's not about becoming like more dependent, just being supported. We would do weekly one-on-one sessions. We get real-time feedback if you need things. We have the, we start mapping out like what your sort of process would look like and how accountability could work for you. We build in the things that make this sustainable over time, and you keep access to any of the things we provide for you the entire time that you're through it, as well as far into the future as you need, so you can keep coming back to those resources as needed. Like if you're tired of carrying everything alone, if you're ready to stop confusing isolation with strength, if you're ready, like you want someone to walk you through this type of stuff while you build the tribe that you actually need, like then check out the link in the description and book the discovery call that's there. When we talk, like I just talked about, like, okay, well, here's the things that are keeping you isolated. Here's where your gifts and superpowers can make an impact. Here's the impact influence you want to be making. Well, let's see what makes sense to move forward. And at that point, it either makes sense for you to join the program or it doesn't. If it doesn't, I'll point you in the right direction of where to go. Like, there's no pressure with any of that. Now, here's the thing, like, this video, all the things we covered, it might be what you need, where you grab the free resources, you go grab yourself a copy of the GIVER Method off, Amazon, like whatever it is, whichever version you do, that's a win. But if you are done doing this alone and you're ready for more structure, then let's build that. Let's use the Ignition Accelerator as a part of that. Because being strong doesn't mean you're doing it alone. It means you having the wisdom to build the right tribe. Before you go, like, do one important thing for me. If you haven't already liked the video, subscribe to the channel and ring that bell for notifications, then at least drop one comment of an area you keep saying, like, I've got it, but support would actually make you stronger. Whatever it is, just one. Because that's the first crack in the wall that we want to find. And that's where real strength begins. hopefully we'll see you at the next step. Hopefully you can check out the other videos on the channel and they'll be able to support you. Check out thegivermethod.com for any additional resources, details, things along those lines. Hopefully we'll see you in one of our upcoming videos. Have a great rest of your day.